Over time, I have led you to recap multiple encounters where Mike Tyson made history by demolishing his opponents. But did you know that there is one, despite not having happened yet, that was still on the lips of every fan? Welcome. In today's video, I bring you all the details behind the controversial and non-existent encounter between Mike Tyson versus Bob Sapp. Is it true that Tyson still avoids Sapp? Is scheduling the encounter slipping out of the hands of the legend? Stay until the end because the analysis I have for you will help you determine which of the two versions is true. Mike Tyson had secured victory in 4 of his previous 7 battles and was coming off a knockout loss to Lennox Lewis that made him look like an easy legend to defeat. He surprised everyone who was lining up to battle against him when, in his next fight, he achieved a knockout victory over Clifford Etienne.
Break the 2. Good instructions given by the ref in the early going. Mike gets to him with the right hand, and Etienne is down!
On the other hand, Bob Sapp, a true beast, was at his peak, stealing the attention of all Japan with his carnivorous victories. Sooner rather than later, talk began about a match between the two fighters. But it wouldn't be just any encounter. A legendary battle was expected where brute force would meet legendary technique, and they would face off in a fair territory where only one of these components would grant victory to its respective owner. It seemed that destiny had destined them to meet, but as time passed, both forces moved further away from clashing within the safety of the ring. Leaving everyone in anticipation, there are multiple theories about why Mike Tyson couldn't step into the ring to face Bob Sapp, the ruthless outlaw who sought confrontation in more than one way but was not granted. In the midst of 2022, Bob Sapp has not given up on his goal of fighting Mike Tyson and stirred up the sports press with a quite clear threat to the former heavyweight champion. Sapp not only hopes that Tyson comes out of retirement to clash forces with him in the boxing ring, but also claims to have enough power within him to destroy Tyson's body and steal his heart. But not in a romantic way. After Tyson secured a comeback exhibition fight against Roy Jones Jr. in 2020, Sapp reopened old wounds, claiming that his name was the first one thrown on the table as Iron Mike's main opponent. Now we all know what happened when you and I talked about the fight, Sapp publicly stated. Of course, some might say it was nothing more than a move to provoke the beast, and he might eventually accept getting back into the ring once more. However, Sapp knew exactly what he was doing. He painted Tyson as a coward, insinuating that the real reason these two fighters never met was that Mike, the legend, didn't have enough reasons to step into the ring. At that time, Sapp claims to have sent a photo to Mike with the caption, "If you fight with me, I will rip your heart out and shatter it." As if it were the first love of teenage Mike Tyson, Bob claimed it's a promise that still stands. Sapp would take the bet to the next level not only by challenging Tyson to a fight, but also to 2 of his best fighters. The event's idea would be a 3-match rally, 2 starring the apprentices of these legends, and finally, the much-anticipated Mike Tyson versus Bob Sapp. With this, Sapp is not only seeking to claim superiority over Tyson in the boxing ring, but also to boast that he has been a better mentor to his pupils in case they manage to defeat Iron Mike's contenders. Undoubtedly, it's an event that many would pay to watch. Simply because it would turn into a direct hit to nostalgia, it would surely be a box office success. But what is preventing both fighters from finally meeting after all? Although it wasn't inside a boxing ring, Tyson did take the time to respond to the controversial statements of a Sapp who seemed nothing short of bloodthirsty for the legend. Without trying to hide the obvious, Mike confirmed that in the past, Sapp was willing to fight him. In fact, he accepted an original proposal. So why don't we have a record of an official fight between these fighters? According to Iron Mike's version, everything falls on the event organizers. Apparently, the scheduling passed from him to another person who was also recognized as a significant figure in MMA and then ended up passing to another person. Without giving many details about why his opponent's name kept changing, Tyson said that, in the end, the offer reached Roy Jones Jr., who was the one who did, indeed, participate in the show. But with all this turmoil, is it possible that Tyson will ever admit to being afraid of Bob Sapp? Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. The fight between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. was announced as Lockdown Knockdown and was an exhibition boxing match between the former undisputed world heavyweight champion Mike Tyson and the 4-division world champion Roy Jones Jr. The fight took place at the Staples Center in Los Angeles on November 28, 2020, where 3 former World Boxing Council champions served as judges. Roy Jones Jr. had his last professional fight in 2018, specifically on February 8th, closing a nearly 30-year career in the discipline with a unanimous decision victory over Scott Sigman at the Bay Center in Pensacola, Florida. However, he left the door open to return to the boxing ring if the opportunity arose to face UFC fighter Anderson Silva. This only signals that Roy Jones Jr. was not an easy way out for Mike Tyson, as Bob Sapp wants to portray in his statements.
Mike's double left, but is it entertaining and exciting for the viewing public?
Jones Jr. remains a challenging opponent, not old enough to be considered a declining legend. For discipline lovers, it was an exquisite fight. At that time, Mike Tyson, at 54 years old, had a professional record of 50 victories, with 44 of them by knockout and 6 defeats. Roy Jones Jr. was only slightly younger than Tyson, but with a professional record capable of alarming anyone. 47 of his 66 victories came by the tough way of knockout, and he had been defeated only 9 times during the almost 30 years he remained active in the art of fists. He was a beast. In hindsight, there is no possibility of considering the decision to face him as a safe escape route for Mike Tyson, trying to avoid too much damage.
Lopez, and what an eclectic team on this eclectic night. Tyson trying to deliver, and Joe Duggan, look at this. Get out of there, get me hosted.
The fight ended with a controversial split draw, and the 3 former World Boxing Council champions judged. Cad Dawson scored it a draw at 76-76, Christy Martin 79-73 for Tyson, and Vinny Pazienza 76-80 for Jones. However, CompuBox numbers, the computerized scoring system for administered punches used in fights worldwide, showed that Tyson outperformed Jones by a wide margin. It was then that the sports press began to point out that the result of the match was not fair, and there were speculations about a prearranged agreement signed by the fighters. However, the data recorded in CompuBox served to demonstrate that Tyson still had in himself the claw that had led him to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history several decades ago. With Bob Sapp clinging to the idea that Mike Tyson is fleeing from him like a rat from its predator, provocations will likely not stop raining on the former champion until he accepts a meeting or Sapp exhausts his hopes. While it is not clear why the issue of difficulty in negotiations is not resolved, any information I can provide regarding a future encounter is based only on what he says, she says. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. If you enjoyed the analysis, remember that you can support my content by liking the video. Are you one of those who would like to see Mike Tyson in a boxing ring against Bob Sapp? Or do you think it's just the ego of a fighter who can't accept that there are opportunities that are not for everyone? Leave me your opinion in the comments. I'll be reading it.